One of this week's topics is ratios, and ratios are a relationship between two objects where they're always going to have that same relationship. So they're also similar to fractions, except they don't talk about a whole. So for example, recipes sometimes come in ratios. Cleaning concentrates would be in ratios to unconcentrated. Lots of different ways that we have ratios in the real world. So we'll just use hummingbird food as an example. So the hummingbird food recipe says that you are going to have 1 part sugar to 4 parts water. And so if we were to write that as a ratio, we would write 1 colon 4. And notice that it doesn't have a specific measurement. You could do 1 cup sugar to 4 cups water. You could do 1 quart of sugar to 4 quarts of water, although usually sugar isn't measured in quarts. But my point is that you could use any measurement size that is equivalent to have 1 part to 4 parts. So ratios are frequently written with colons like this, but they can also be written as fractions. So we could write that same ratio as 1 to 4. The difference is that 4 doesn't mean the total parts, it means 4 of that specific part. So for that reason, I prefer to write ratios as with the colon instead of in the fraction form, just so that it's a little clearer, but know that they can be written in the same way. So most of how you're going to use ratios, you're going to have your initial ratio. Let's say that it is 12 to 15 is your ratio. And ratios can be reduced just like fractions can. So 12 and 15 both have a factor of 3. So if I divide each of them by 3, then that means that my new ratio would be 4 to 5. So in the same way that we reduced fractions, we can reduce ratios. So ratios, remember, are just how we can represent how two things are related. And they will always have that same relationship. So for the hummingbird water, it is always going to be 1 part sugar to 4 parts water, or we could even say 2 parts sugar to 8 parts water. It's still going to have the same relationship between the two things.